Everyone in the city knew about Richard Dawson, the real estate millionaire whose twin daughters, Lila and Lucy, were the very definition of trouble. They were 10 years old, mischievous, spoiled, and heartbreakingly lonely. Since their mother's death 3 years earlier, they had turned every nanny, teacher, and caretaker into a sobbing wreck. The girls had been expelled from 2 schools, and no one in the Dawson mansion lasted more than a week. When the family agency sent yet another nanny, she lasted exactly 2 days. The next morning, Mr. Dawson found both girls sitting on the roof with a sign that read, "Free us from boredom." Richard, despite his millions, felt powerless. He was a businessman who could negotiate multi-million-dollar deals but couldn't connect with his own daughters. He was tired, frustrated, and heartbroken. Emily Carter never dreamed she'd end up mopping floors in the same building where billionaires discussed profits and power. Once a literature teacher, life had taken a cruel turn when her husband died in a car accident, leaving her with a 5-year-old son, Ethan, and mountains of debt. Now, she worked as a janitor in Dawson Enterprises, cleaning offices at night while her son stayed with a neighbor. One morning, while cleaning the lobby, she overheard 2 executives gossiping. "Greater than, the boss's daughters are out of control again," one said. "He's offering triple pay to anyone who can handle them." Emily smiled faintly. Kids are never impossible, she thought. They're just misunderstood. She didn't know that thought would soon change her entire life. When Emily accidentally spilled coffee outside the boardroom that morning, she apologized quickly, only to realize the man staring down at her was Richard Dawson himself. He noticed her calmness, her tired eyes, and the way she spoke to the receptionist's child, who was playing nearby. Later that day, when the agency called to say they had no more nannies available, Richard sighed. Then, as if fate whispered in his ear, he remembered the janitor with the kind voice. Within an hour, Emily got the strangest offer of her life. "Greater than, Ms. Carter, I need someone patient, honest, and firm to look after my daughters. I can pay more than you earn here in a month, if you can handle them even for a week." She hesitated, thinking of Ethan. "Sir, I'm not a nanny. I just clean floors." "Greater than, maybe that's exactly what they need," Richard replied quietly. The Dawson mansion looked like something from a movie, white marble, tall chandeliers, and echoing halls. Emily walked in nervously, holding her son's hand. When the twins saw her, they burst out laughing. "Greater than, a janitor. Daddy, you're joking. She's going to clean us too." Emily just smiled. "You can laugh. I'll wait until you're done." The girls weren't used to that. Every other adult shouted or begged. But Emily stayed calm, even when they threw paint at her mop bucket. She didn't punish them. Instead, she gave them rags. "Greater than, we'll clean it together," she said softly. For the first time, the twins didn't know how to react. Days turned into weeks. Emily didn't scold, she listened. She found out that Lila loved drawing and Lucy wrote secret stories. They missed their mom terribly, but no one had ever let them talk about it. Emily sat with them in the garden one evening and said, "Greater than, you know, I miss someone too. My husband. He used to call Ethan his superhero." The twins were quiet for a long moment. Then Lucy whispered, "Greater than, did it hurt less over time?" Emily nodded. "It hurts differently now, but it doesn't own me anymore." That night, the girls hugged her for the first time. Richard couldn't believe the change. His daughters were smiling, drawing, helping in the kitchen, even reading bedtime stories with Ethan. He found Emily in the garden one evening, mending one of Lila's dresses. "Greater than, I don't know what you've done," he said softly, "but you've given me back my daughters." Emily smiled. "I just listened, Mr. Dawson. Sometimes love is louder when you stop talking." Richard felt something stir in his chest, a warmth he hadn't felt in years. But not everyone was happy. The mansion's manager, Mrs. Graves, didn't like that a janitor was being praised like a queen. She whispered rumors, claiming Emily was manipulating the family for money. When Richard overheard part of a conversation out of context, he briefly doubted Emily. "Greater than, maybe I've been foolish," he muttered. He asked her to take a few days off. Emily left quietly, tears in her eyes, thinking she'd failed. The twins locked themselves in their room and refused to eat. When Richard saw their drawings, Emily holding their hands, he realized the truth. He'd made a terrible mistake. Richard rushed to Emily's small apartment. She opened the door, surprised. "Greater than, Mr. Dawson, please," he interrupted. "Come back. I was wrong. My daughters need you, and so do I." Tears filled her eyes. She nodded. "All right, but only if you promise one thing. Greater than anything. To listen to them, and to yourself." Emily moved into the mansion again, this time not as an employee, but as part of the family. She continued working, but Richard made sure she could also finish her teaching degree. Ethan, Lila, and Lucy became inseparable. They called themselves the Patchwork Family. Every night, the mansion that once echoed with shouting now filled with laughter. A year later, on a warm spring evening, Richard gathered the kids in the garden. He looked at Emily, holding a small ring. "Greater than, you taught us how to love again, Emily. You cleaned more than floors, you cleaned our hearts. Will you marry me?" Lila and Lucy squealed. "Say yes, Mom." Ethan grinned. "Told you he liked you." Emily laughed through tears. Yes. Epilogue. The miracle of kindness. Years later, people still whispered about the janitor who tamed the Millionaire's wild twins. But the truth was simpler. She didn't tame them. She understood them. Because kindness, as Emily always said, isn't about changing people. It's about reminding them who they really are. And in that mansion, once filled with loneliness, love had found its home again.